Welcome to the Dray Way. I am so glad you guys are here. We're only 30 days away. 30 days away, and then we're going to be voting for a new president. Yeah, hopefully it's going to be Madam President, but yeah, we're going to be voting for president. And we'll see what happens. But I'm going to hopefully break it down for you a little bit today, because I know one thing that everybody keeps asking me about. Everybody keeps asking me about Florida. Yeah, you know the vote last time was about 51% for Trump to 47% for Biden. And I know this time we have a woman on the ticket, and we also have on the ballot, there's going to be the abortion, rights for abortion for women. So I want to believe that we can swing 400,000 votes. And I just want you to know how rare that is. How rare it is that in just one election cycle that you can swing that many voters. But if there's any time it can be done, if there's any time, because not only is the whole abortion issue on the ballot, but it's also why it's taken this long, I have no idea, but they're going to be legalizing marijuana on the ballot in Florida. So there is every reason under the sun for every single Democrat, every single independent to go to the voting booth and vote blue. So can it happen? Yes. Is it going to happen? I'm going to leave Florida under a category I rarely use. And I only use this when the polls are showing less than a 1%, change or 1% victory one way or the other. But when it's down to 1%, it's all about turnout. It's all about, getting out there and making sure everybody votes in Florida. So I'm going to call Florida. And it may change. It may change because we still have 30 days. If one state was going to change, if there's one state that will change, it may be Florida. But just understand this. If you're thinking Florida is blue, you're still walking uphill. Okay? It's still an uphill climb. It is not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. Now the other 7 swing states, I still have them all going for Harris. And that's why I've talked about earlier. Not only do I have her winning all 7 of the swing states, but one of the early telltale signs, I keep saying it over and over again. Watch Virginia. Watch Virginia. Watch Virginia. Virginia is going to tell us a lot about what we need to know on election day. Does she win Virginia by 10 points? Does she win by 12? Does she win by 14? If she was to win by 14 points, I mean, if there was to be something like, 56 to 42 or 57 to 43, something in that category, yeah, that would spell doom for Donald Trump. That would be a major, major problem. But in all of the states, Atlanta's just simply too big, too many votes. You can't overcome her lead in Atlanta. So I give her Georgia. In North Carolina, too many young people are voting this time. And young people vote for Democrats. So I think she's going to edge a win in North Carolina as well. As far as Pennsylvania is a lockdown for her. Michigan, a lockdown for her. Wisconsin, a lockdown for her. And she's got a decent-sized lead in Nevada. And the only one, I would say the weakest of the 7, the weakest state that she looks in right now is in Arizona, believe it or not. And Arizona doesn't even like Donald Trump. They don't even like him there. So that's the weakest. So once we talk about those 7, everybody wants to immediately talk about Florida. I've lived in Florida. I've lived all over Florida. I've lived in Democrat Florida. I've lived in Republican Florida. And when I say Republican Florida, I'm talking about Sarasota. If you're in Sarasota or Naples, Florida, it's really red there. It's really, really, really red. If you live in Broward County, well, I used to live in Broward, right there in Hollywood. It's about as blue as it gets, you know. And it's just what happens this time. I have to tell you right now, it's a coin toss because we still don't know what's going to happen in Central Florida. If the Orlando vote comes out, like I know the Orlando vote can come out, we got a decent chance in Florida. But just remember, 5147 is no small hill to climb. But believe me, between now, we have a whole month to talk about Florida. We'll be talking about it a lot more. Tell me what you think. What do you think is going to happen in Florida? Put it down below in the comments because I really want to know. We're going to look back on this and see who was right and see who wasn't right about Florida. But I think as of right now, I'm still calling Florida an absolute coin toss. But let me know in the comments what you think. And anyway, if you haven't decided to subscribe yet, now's the time to do it. Please subscribe, hit all the bells and whistles so you know this show. This show comes on each and every day, and I want to make sure you're here. So make sure you subscribe. We have a lot more to talk about. Let's get to subject number 2 for this show. People always need some type of help with a website. At the end of this, you're going to notice a template. I'm going to give you a free template to get your own website. It's absolutely free, no cost to you. The link is right at the end of this. So check it out. It's your way to get your free website template. So please just go right here or go to the thing at the end and get your free website template. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. I'd love to help you. I want to spend some time talking about the Senate races. And I want to talk about the Senate races because, as usual, Republicans make a huge mistake in putting up bad people. If you look across the country, those people running for Senate, yeah, they're not good people. I mean, Republicans are running very, very bad people. Compared to Democrats, I would say in most cases, Democrats look safe. Now, I know that we have a tough fight in Montana, and we have a tough fight in Florida as well. Texas, you know what? I believe the numbers are showing what they're showing, and that is Ted Cruz is going to lose Texas. I really believe Ted Cruz is going to get beat. And like I've said many times on this show, nobody likes Ted Cruz. I mean, nobody in the Senate likes him. He's not a likable guy, and he doesn't really serve any purpose for Texas in the Senate. I don't know why Texas would vote for him. If you're from Texas, why would you vote for him? What do you think he's done for the state of Texas that would make you go, you know what? I need to put him in the Senate again. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think would be a good reason to put him in the Senate, because to be honest with you, I don't know of one. Now, in Ohio, yeah, Brown isn't going anywhere. You know, Brown, again, they put up kind of a shyster in Ohio, and people have kind of figured that out. And I think Ohio, maybe not this election, but I have hopes for Ohio in the next election. I think Ohio is starting to figure out voting red just isn't a very good idea, as I think they're finding out in Florida. I mean, Florida's about to get hit with another hurricane, and we're going to finish with that in just a minute. But people are finding out real soon, if you want to get help, in Florida, it's very difficult to get help from the government in Florida. And that's because you have a conservative government that kind of feels like, it's not really our job. It's not really our job to help you. I mean, you're supposed to be a reliable individual on your own. We shouldn't have to help you that much. Sure, we'll throw some water at you, but other than that, you're on your own. And that's kind of what you get when you vote Republican. When you vote Republican, that's kind of what you get. And I keep talking about that, and everybody keeps asking me, what are you talking about? And I know I've talked about this before, but it bears me telling you again. Republican presidents do not perform well in the United States. They do a bad job. So that's why I have a hard time. Every time we come up with an election, I'm going, surely people aren't going to vote for a Republican president. Why would you do that? I mean, Nixon, like I've said before, Nixon was so bad that in the middle of his term, they said, yeah, you got to go. He goes, well, I only have a couple years. No. Pack your stuff. You need to go right now. You're that racist. You're that big of a criminal. You need to go. Same thing with Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, same problems, same BS, same criminal. Do you know the Reagan administration? I believe you can check it out. Let me know in the comments if I'm right. But I believe 138 people from his administration were indicted. Yeah, I think it's a record. 138. That shows you what a complete criminal Ronald Reagan and his entire staff were. But then from there, we went to Bush, George Bush. You know, the one that completely ruined the economy, the one that had us in complete free fall. Yeah, that George Bush. Yeah, the one that sent us on a war, spending trillions of dollars, increasing the size of government and just more and more spending. Yeah, that George Bush. Okay. And then what did we get after George Bush? We got Obama, a Democrat, that had to take over the keys of the White House with the place on fire. It was on fire. Jobs, I mean, the economy going to hell, everybody losing, businesses going under. And here comes Obama to right the ship and spends the next 8 years fixing everything Bush did. And you know what we decide to do? We don't put a woman in the White House. We put a game show host. Yeah, Donald Trump. And in the next 4 years, he proceeds to burn it all to the ground again. So here we get rid of him after he destroyed the economy and people without jobs. He did a mess, couldn't handle COVID for nothing, thought it was just going to disappear and you could use bleach to cure it. And here comes old man Biden to right the ship again. And now here we have, I've said this, you've heard me say this, but it just drives me nuts. This is the one thing that's driving me nuts on TikTok and on YouTube. There are so many people here on YouTube going, oh, things are terrible. Oh, no, the economy is good. We have the number one economy in the world. We have the number one stock market in the world. We are number one in oil and gas production. We're number one, the US dollar, number one in the world. The military, number one in the world. We're number one in the world in just about everything. And we want to change this? To what? What do you want to change it to? Why? Why would you now want to get out of such prosperity and hand the keys over to someone that burned the place down before? Let me know what you think in the comments. I have no idea why you would want to do that. Like I said, every time a Democrat is in office, things go really well. Every time a Republican gets into office, they burn it to the ground. I would think we're tired of burning stuff to the ground. But let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. I simply couldn't end the show without talking about the hurricane that's coming to Florida. And I couldn't finish the show without talking about it because this is probably going to be a Cat 4. Don't listen to anyone that's saying Cat 2, Cat 3. This is in very warm waters. It has plenty of time to develop, and it's going to develop. And in all likelihood, we're talking about a Category 4 hurricane. You're talking about storm surge of 12 to 15 feet in some areas. And if you think you can survive that, you can't. Okay? And you shouldn't even try. So what should you do? Get away from the ocean. Get away from the ocean. If you can go 150 miles south of Bradenton, I would do that. If you can go 150 miles north of Bradenton, I would do that. You want to get away from the eye of this hurricane because it is going to do huge, massive damage. If you are in areas like Fort Myers or Clearwater or St. Pete or Tampa, You are about to get your area rearranged like you cannot believe. And it's coming. And it's Sunday, and it's going to be there Wednesday. Yeah. So you really have today and tomorrow to make your plans and get out of the way. Because if you don't get out of the way, you're risking loss of life. And there's no reason for that. You know, it isn't the wind that kills people. Overwhelmingly, it's the storm surge. So with storm surge coming of 12 to 15 feet, it's time to get out of the way. It's time to move. And trying to move on Wednesday it's not going to work. You have to do it today or tomorrow, because Tuesday and Wednesday probably won't be a good time to be moving around, particularly Tuesday night. You don't want to be moving around at night when the winds start. So please, if you live in Florida, get out of the way, go someplace else. This is going to be a nasty storm. And I know some of you just got, in big trouble in the last one, and you have furniture outside. I mean, I can't even begin to think to myself, all the stuff that's hanging around outside, because I know a lot of you have already taken your furniture and everything that got wet and put it outside. And I'm trying to wrap my head around, because I've been through several hurricanes myself, and the eye wall, and I remember, in the eye wall, as soon as the eye wall goes over you, everybody runs outside and picks up projectiles, because you just had the wind going 140 miles an hour this way. Now you're about to get the wind going 140 miles the other way. So you run outside because you got about 15 minutes of, beautiful weather, and you grab all the stuff that you can and get it in the garage or get it in the house, or just get it, so that it's not available to be a projectile. But here, a storm of this magnitude is coming there in a few days. And I have to believe that all that stuff isn't going to be picked up. And if you have 130, 140 mile winds with all those projectiles, you could be looking at a complete disaster. You could be looking at buildings getting wiped off to the foundation. So please, I know I sound like a broken record, but I want to see everybody make it through this storm. I want to see everybody be safe. But again, 30 days out, I'm glad you're with me. We got a new show tomorrow. We have a lot more to talk about tomorrow. Thanks for joining me on the Dray Way. I hope to see you tomorrow. And don't forget, subscribe. And I have past episodes. If you haven't checked them out, please do. We'll see you next time. We're just a month away. Madam President. Just start saying, Madam President. See you tomorrow.